In a story that rivals that of the bard Bill Shakespeare, we have a story of young love being quenched, denied a cruise. We also have stories of storms shutting down cruise ships and Carnival being called scammers. That doth be the show coming forth, the cruise show.
All aboard! Your ship is leaving. Talking about everything going on in cruising. It's the Lido Loca time. It's the cruise show. It's the cruise show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. Welcome to the cruise show. I'm your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. So everything going on in cruising is for your face. For your face on a Wednesday, the 8th of October, 2025. And let's start with this tale of woe. We go to Verona, a feud between the Montagues and the Capulets. No, it's not that. We go to Canada. Where we have a couple in love. Let's just call it that. A 21-year-old young lady and a 20-year-old man. They've decided to put their love on display by taking a cruise on the Carnival Radiance. They booked the cruise, and as the cruise has approached, they've been notified by Carnival Cruise Line that they are no longer allowed to cruise because of their age. A new policy went into effect February of 2025 that said anyone who's 21 years of age or older, they are allowed to cruise on their own, unfettered, unattached, unwatched. But if you're younger than 21, well, you need a guardian. And like I said, the dude in this couplet is under 21. He's 20 years old. And so Carnival said, look, we can give you your money back. You can wait till the guy turns 21 and you can come back and explore the high seas as a young couple in love. But the couple said, no, we're in love right now. And who knows what the future holds. And we want to cruise today. So they took to social media. They went to the Facebook group of their cruise in search of a guardian. Who's your daddy? A wild thing. Now, this is, I don't know how I feel about this story, really. They went to social media and they said, here's our situation. We're not allowed to cruise because, my man here is 20 years old and we need a guardian. Would anybody be our guardian? And as they threw that request out into the, hordes of strangers on that Facebook group, a stranger responded and said, I'll be your guardian. And problem solved, I guess. But it's a weird scenario. To be someone's guardian on a cruise ship, you have to link all of your information together, your booking numbers, your personal information. And so this couple has decided to link their personal information with a stranger. And this stranger has decided to be responsible for this couple. So if this couple goes crazy and does something insane, then that stranger is now responsible for them. And you know how I feel about this whole stranger. I say stranger danger. I guess the first way it hit me was like, is it like some older person, right? Like some 40, 50-year-old, 60-year-old person saying, I'll be your guardian. But the person only has to be 26. And I'm not sure what the guardian is in this scenario. The older person, would that be weird? Younger person, would that be frivolous? I don't know. It does seem like it's solving the problem, I guess. The big question is, why were they able to book? But if the answer is the policy changed after they booked, then that makes sense. But I don't know. What would you do? Would you reach out and take the kindness of a stranger and be linked up? Or would you have waited a year? This couple chose love. It's a mercurial situation. Shout out Bill Shakespeare. Now, I do have an interesting story of a problem that Royal Caribbean has solved when it comes to beverages. But first, let's talk about storms. We have a few ships out there riding on the storm out. A couple Royal Caribbean cruise ships, the newest cruise ship and the largest cruise ship in the world for Royal Caribbean, Star of the Seas. They were scheduled to make a journey down to St. Martin in the southern Caribbean. But unfortunately, Tropical Storm Jerry has something to say about that. And I imagine what Tropical Storm Jerry is saying, whoa, cruise ships coming to St. Martin. What's up with that? Whoa. Okay, that's a horrible Seinfeld. Tropical Storm Jerry is keeping the Star of the Seas away from St. Martin. An itinerary adjustment has been made. Star of the Seas will now do an overnight in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And that's not a bad swap out. And it's still hurricane season. I guess every day I have to say it. It goes all the way into November. Star of the Seas impacted. And we have another cruise ship impacted by a storm, but not a hurricane. It's impacted by a typhoon, which would that'll give you, if I say cyclone, you may think Australia, New Zealand. If I say typhoon, you may think Asia. That's right. We've got Ovation of the Seas being delayed into Yokohama, which is how you get to Tokyo in Japan, delayed by 2 days because of Typhoon Halong. And yeah, they're also riding the storm out. You know, it doesn't happen a lot, but we're in that season where it is happening, where cruise ships are being disrupted by storms. Everybody keep the hatches battened down, and hopefully you got your bowline with you. Now, before we get to the next story, I'm sort of sitting here giddy with excitement. Tomorrow, I am boarding an aeroplane, and I'm flying from Tampa, Florida to New York City. New York City. I've seen a lot of stories as over the last couple days that there have been some delays at the airport. I'm not looking forward to that part, but if all goes well, I'll have a full day in New York before I board my cruise ship on the 11th, and I'm only a 13-minute walk from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I'm just curious. It's a lifelong bucket list place for me to go, and I've never gone there. Has anybody out there been to that museum? Do you recommend it? Yeah, I'm also only like 14 or 15 minutes away from the New York Lego store. So I should have a fun day on the 10th. But yeah, I just say that, and I'm looking to garner good vibes for my travel tomorrow. So think good thoughts for me and the lovely Jenny B as we try to venture to New York City. Let's talk about Royal Caribbean clarifying a beverage policy. So one of the cooler drink add-ons that Royal Caribbean has is a specialty coffee punch card where you pay a discounted price to receive 15 specialty coffees. And the way they track this is on a punch card. They actually punch it out, like punch a hole in this punch card. But one of the challenges, what if you don't use all 15 drinks on one sailing? Can you take that, the rest of those unused punches, those unused discounted drinks to another cruise? And it's been hit or miss. Sometimes people report taking those punch cards to another ship and it being honored, sometimes not. Well, fortunately, Royal Caribbean has come out and clarified the policy that those unused punches will be usable on other cruise ships. And as we all know, when it comes to coffee, it's all about the beans. Shout out Mocha Joe. Let's talk about one of Carnival's newest ships getting its first dry dock experience. We have the Carnival Mardi Gras that came out in 2021 going into the dry dock for the first time over in Marseille, France. And my understanding of this dry dock is they will be equipped with French baguettes. They will be equipped with croissants. And they're going to have a fromage day at the shipyard. None of that's true. The details have not particularly been released as to what the dry dock will entail. It's probably just a general maintenance dry dock, but maybe there'll be some other cool stuff that comes onto the Carnival Mardi Gras. Carnival Mardi Gras will be going back into service on October the 16th, and the whole dry dock experience will culminate in a 14-night repositioning sailing from Barcelona to Port Canaveral. Now let's move on, and I will tell you a story about Carnival being called scammers. Let me read you this message that was sent to Carnival brand ambassador John Heald, and it's an interesting one. It opens up an interesting conversation. The person's name has been left off to protect the innocent. Message: started a new job, Heald. My new employer will not allow me vacation time so soon. I called and canceled my November cruise on the Carnival Sunshine. You have non-refundable deposits. I guess that's the way Carnival scams their customers. Their rules that they obviously know people don't read in those final small details. It should be stated when you book with some sort of pop-up before you hit the final key. Even your PVP, name redacted, didn't notify me before the booking of this. Don't tell me it's in the fine print because nobody reads it. This is just unjust. This is unfair. Not that you would care, but I have started working as an emergency dispatcher in Virginia, blank Virginia. This does sound like a Norfolk story. Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah. What's funny is Virginia, definitely a southern state, and the history of Virginia, very southern. But I live here in Florida, which is about as far south as you can go in the United States, state-wise, and we're not part of the South. Which is interesting because I spent most of my life a part of the South, and now maybe Florida's the dirty South, or is that Southern Georgia? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure this is a Norfolk, Virginia story. And kudos on this person for getting a job as an emergency dispatcher. And, I struggle because I've been on a bunch of cruises and I booked a bunch of cruises, and maybe I'm so far removed from the idea of what it's like to not know the difference between a refundable and a, non-refundable deposit. But maybe people that are new don't know the difference. And I guess it raises the question, how much personal responsibility should you have with this? At my core, I believe that anytime you're making a decision or spending your money, it's up to you to understand everything. And a lot of times we use our ability to ignore things to just ignore things and say, I'll take whatever happens. I'm not reading through everything and that kind of thing. But something like this, when it comes to a non-refundable deposit, do you think the screen should flash red, and do you think somebody should call you on the phone, that kind of thing? I feel like it's obvious when you book the cruise that the thing is refundable or non-refundable. But again, I may be attuned to seeing those kind of things where other people are not. Do you think that the cruise lines do a good enough job letting people know when deposits are not refundable? And do you think this person has a leg to stand on and they should be able to cancel and get their money back? I don't know. Again, congrats on the job. Look, that's everything going on in cruising. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.